Hello and welcome everyone in a new episode of Money Means Business. Now we do have a lot of economic files and there are a lot of incidents which took place in the past 7 days, and we are going to focus on the Egyptian-African economic relations represented in the very important high-profile visit by Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni, as he was received by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, and they also witnessed the signing of a number of memoranda of understanding in addition to the Egypt-Uganda Business Forum. Also, the higher Egyptian-Jordanian committee was held in Amman with the participation of Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli and a number of ministers, tackling the importance of continuing with boosting bilateral ties in the fields of investment, trade, economic relations in general. Let's start with this, and we're going to continue right after the short break.
Jordanian-Egyptian relations began.
Welcome back, and let's start with the outcome of the 33rd session of the Egyptian-Jordanian Joint Higher Committee, which took place in Amman recently with the participation of Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli and a number of Egyptian ministers, and they had a lot of talks with their Jordanian counterparts. They witnessed also the signing of a number of memoranda of understanding, and they also asserted the fact that they are going to continue with coordinating efforts to meet the aspirations of both peoples. To shed more light on this and on other economic files and economic events which took place in the past 7 days, we are very much delighted to have with us live here in the studio my dear guest, Dr. Ahmed ELLEISSY, our international economic and strategic management consultant. Thank you very much for being with us.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me.
And let's start immediately with the Egyptian-Jordanian Joint Committee session number 33, the oldest higher committee, joint committee between two Arab countries, and in fact it's continuing to boost relations between the two countries in various domains, particularly the economic and investment ones. Before going into details, how do you see the cooperation between Egypt and Jordan as a symbol or as an example of how should be the economic and investment relations between Egypt and other Arab countries, or between Arab countries in general?
I think actually it's a role model. Today we are almost, we could say easily that we are at the peak of the of this cooperation between Egypt and Jordan. In the past we had in the past, I mean like 50, 70 years ago, we've had our differences, but now the cooperation and the integration is very clear. Jordan hosts a very large, about 650,000 if I'm not mistaken, Egyptian workers, mostly I don't want to use the word non-educated, but like manual workers. So there is a very strong presence in Jordan of the Egyptian labor force, and at the same time we do have a very close borders. Jordan is a very pivotal country in the region because it has borders with almost everybody in the region. It has borders with Iraq, with Saudi Arabia, with Israel, Syria. And I remember when I was living there, I used to be from my house in Western Amman to inside the hotel in Beirut. It used to take me exactly 3 hours. So Jordan is a very pivotal country in the area we call Levant and the Arabian Peninsula. And of course we do have our borders with them, so it's very important to evolve our relationship. Jordan is very scarce when it comes to three things: water, energy, and agricultural products. And Egypt can play a very, very positive role in supplying the three of these at a very cost-efficient way. So as I always say, any sort of economic cooperation is a two-way street, and here we have the two-way street. So it's about just getting it done. and we think we are on the very much on the right track.
Amen to that. And to continue with this, one of the important points which were tackled as Prime Minister of Jordan, Jafar Hassan, when he had this meeting with our Prime Minister, Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, he said that Jordan is really thinking about having an administrative city to host the governmental institutions, and they really wanted to have the Egyptian expertise in this domain. And Prime Minister Madbouli said that Egypt is totally ready to exchange expertise in this domain. How do you see this also, sir?
I see this as a byproduct of the success that Egypt had in the new administration capital for Egypt. We see other countries, starting from the neighboring one, starting to copycat or to follow the same path that Egypt have successfully followed. Of course, we do have we have a lot of expertise in the construction and starting new cities, but also we're very cost efficient, and this is an extremely important point when it comes to such projects, and Egypt can provide that support at a very, very reasonable cost, I would say, to our brothers and sisters in Jordan.
And in other Arab countries, but here in Jordan, because also, sir, I cannot separate politics from economy. Jafar, or the Jordanian Prime Minister, along with Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, they discussed also the regional situation in Egypt and Jordan since the very first day of the Israeli genocide war against Palestinians in Gaza. They tried to exert the utmost efforts to put an end to this chaotic situation, because when there is stability in the region, simply the investors are going to come, and simply it's the environment is going to be that paved for investors coming from all over the world to invest their money here. How do you see this also as part and parcel of the whole issue, or part and parcel of the discussing the economic situation in the region?
Well, to start with, as you rightly mentioned, the political and security stability is a prerequisite for any economic activity. So if we don't have that, if nobody goes and invests in a context of war, that's practically unheard of. So it's obvious that we need to have stability first, and then the region could flourish. Egypt and Jordan, they share the access, or having access or being gates to the Palestinian territories. So obviously we both do share and witness firsthand the atrocities that we see happening to our brothers and sisters in Gaza, and we are as close as we can ever get to them. Both countries do witness that firsthand. So it is very right that it's very important for the region to have a little bit of stability, especially for non-oil producing countries like Jordan and Egypt, where investment will only come and start to flow into these countries or markets only when there is stability, politically speaking, in the region. Until then, both economies, and we've seen what happened, or how the Egyptian economy has been affected negatively by the war that has been going for almost 2 years now. So it's just simply a prerequisite, and we cannot separate the political environment from the economic conditions.
Also, Hassan and Madbouli focused on the energy issue, and they witnessed the signing of 9 memoranda of understanding. And among the memoranda of or the MOU signed, energy, electricity, gas, oil. How do you see, sir, focusing on the energy sector as one of the most important sectors when it comes to the economic arena in general?
Nothing happens without energy, to start with, as a general principle. To do anything, even for us to have our usual daily life, we need energy. Such as the economic activities. We need energy for any economic activities. As I said earlier, Jordan is a little bit scarce on the energy side. Egypt can provide support in that area. And I think this is the idea in exchange for obviously for foreign currency, which also the Egyptian economy can make use of. So again, it's once more a two-way street when both sides can win from getting together and cooperating.
They also discussed trilateral cooperation among Egypt, Jordan and Iraq, and to make sure that this is going also to be another role model for cooperation among our allies, among the Arab countries in general. How do you see including Iraq and taking Iraq also as a side of this triangle?
For years, Jordan has played the role as a how will you say, the gatekeeper. I don't want to say the gatekeepers of Iraq, but it was always the path of Iraq. Even during the difficult times that Iraq went through, whether the Gulf War I, Gulf War II, and the sanctions during Saddam Hussein time, Jordan has always been the exit out of that, and the area where both Iraqis and foreign investors and what have you could come together and actually do business. And also the accessibility. I remember when I was living there, I was also responsible for Iraq. We couldn't fly. Iraq at the time was a no-fly zone, so we had to take the car and drive
2,000 kilometers.
Yes, for about 18 hours, I remember. Not in the safest environment to get to Iraq. So Jordan has always been on the gates to Iraq. So I think it's just a continuity. It's a very natural role that Jordan played for years and years, and it gives us the land access to Iraq. So if we need to have pipelines, if we need to have
electrical interconnection,
any sort of connections that we need to do it on land.
Maintaining our cultural heritage also, sir, I think it should be taken into consideration, if you agree with me on that.
Sure, but our brothers in Iraq also do have a very strong heritage. And
by this I called our because of what you just said. Yeah, the Arab one.
Sure. So that's again a very positive form of cooperation, not only between two parties but with the three countries involved in that agreement. So it's a very positive thing to have.
Of the most important goals, I think this committee, in addition to other committees, are working for, is to achieve what we call economic integration. And there was also another very important summit which took place in Baghdad with the very same goal, or the very same, I don't want to say dream, because it can be implemented on the ground only with just serious efforts from all sides. How do you see the word or this term economic integration, how it can be implemented on the ground, and also the share of the private sector? Because without the private sector, it was really proven that no sustainable development process can be implemented.
The economic integration, basically in one sentence, is that each of these countries, I would say, prioritize or deal with the other before it goes to another third party outside. We've seen what happened to Iraq during the sanctions. We've seen how it was abused in terms of their petrol income, and we can integrate, give our know-how, and be how would you say, as a very honest partner into that agreement, which maybe is not the same honesty that other countries would put into the equation. So it is an added value to everybody. This is what we call synergy, when the 1 + 1 = 3 or more. The famous formula that when we put both efforts together, everybody goes on winning much more had he done it on his own. So this is the synergizing the resources. So of course we have a huge opportunity, and not just with these two countries in Egypt, but again we could look into many other countries, whether Arab or African, where again we could get economic integration and everybody wins out of this equation.
And to take this role model as an example in front of us, I think also the visit by Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni to Egypt, as he was received by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, and they discussed how to boost our economic, trade and investment relations. This was also another way to say that Egypt is totally open for more cooperation with all our allies from all over the world to achieve sustainable development goals on the ground.
Recently, Egyptian-Ugandan relations have witnessed remarkable activity, reinforcing Egypt's African identity and affiliation. Relations between the two countries have developed positively since President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi came to power in June 2014, in light of President el-Sisi's keenness to restore Egypt's historical and effective leadership role on the African continent. Uganda took a supportive stance toward Egypt in the African Union following the June 30th revolution, and adopted a clear position supporting Egypt's return to the African Union and the resumption of its activities within the Union. This stance coincided with Uganda's presidency of the African Peace and Security Council. President Yoweri Museveni's visit to Egypt and his talks with President el-Sisi reflected the extent of the development in the Egyptian-Ugandan strategic partnership in various political and economic fields, based on the principle of common interests and mutual benefits that serve common interests and extend their benefits to the entire continent.
Another role model, another examples of fruitful relations between Egypt and another country, and here from the African side, Uganda, where Ugandan President had an official visit to Egypt and was received by the head of a state, and they discussed economic relations. In specific, also they inaugurated the joint business forum. Sir, how do you see the Egyptian-Ugandan relations in the economic field as another role model, and the importance of boosting our relations with our African allies in general in this domain?
I think, as you mentioned, it's a role model, it's an example. The relationship with Uganda is a very good example for how the bilateral relationship between Egypt and another country in the Black Continent can again benefit everybody. Egypt has supported Uganda in a lot of things. We've built for them a very big project, and it was a huge success, and everybody came out winning of this project. So it is again a real life example for the success of the diplomacy of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and the direction towards Africa that we have kind of, in the past eras, we've softened our relationship a little bit, or we're out of the focus area. But now with President Sisi, we're focusing again on the African dimension of the Egyptian relationships. Africa is a very large continent. It has over 300 million in population. It's about 54 countries, and there is a huge opportunities for everybody.
Huge opportunities for investment, huge opportunities for using human resources to consider Africa as a virgin continent, as many are saying, to get rid of soft colonialism, as also they are naming it. Which is which, sir?
all of the above plus quite a few more.
Can we prioritize?
Sure. Again, soft colonization is still going on, unfortunately, and that's sad news. Going back to the earlier point you talked about economic integration, where each side would have something that would benefit and he needs from the other side, and he could obtain from the other side against exchanging what the other side wants from him, and at the same time at a very, very cost efficient way of doing that exchange. What the example I give a lot, and again without mentioning the names neither of both countries, there is a country in Europe that was colonizing a certain country in Africa. That country in Africa is one of the largest producers of gold in the world. That country is sitting on...
We are not going to mention the name, but is it Anglophone or Francophone?
Obviously, being England, then it is...
Anglophone, okay.
And whereas, if I'm not mistaken, the Central Bank of England is sitting, if I'm not mistaken, on 1,600 tons of gold, where England has 0 gold mines, and this country that is the largest mining country, or one of the largest top 3 mining countries in the world, I think has 20 or 25 tons.
Because in the very same context, Niger reopened its main gold mine only a few days ago, by the way.
Okay. So you see where the wealth is coming from here, somehow it ends up there. Okay. Does this wealth that is sitting in the British, with all due respect to England and the British government, is the wealth that is sitting there benefiting the population of the land where it was extracted from? I doubt it. So,
because you're going to find the question, sir, is it your right to benefit from your raw material when you don't know how to use it or to manufacture it, or you don't have the know-how, or those who know the know-how and they developed their technical and technological ways to deal with it, they do have the right to have the biggest share or the biggest ratio?
That's always a dilemma, and that's always a discussion. I think it's a fallacy, and this is why I use the example of gold, because gold is gold. I did not get into much more sophisticated products, which if we look at them, we'll find the same pattern. I did not want to get into that, but gold is gold for everybody, and you don't do much with gold unless you use it in jewelry, but it's basically value that you extract or mine out of your land.
It's your strategic reserve. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's what should have been your strategic reserve went somewhere else, very far away.
Sir, returning back to the Egyptian-Ugandan economic relations and the visit by the Ugandan president to Egypt, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi was keen in the joint press conference which was held right after the discussion to say that they also discussed water resources management. And of course he renewed the Egyptian stance regarding considering the water issue as a national security issue. How do you see, sir, the cooperation between Egypt and other Nile Basin countries as one of the top priorities of the Egyptian state, particularly in a world which all experts are saying that the coming war is going to be a war on water? Not even on oil, not even on energy. Water is going to come first.
Very true. President Sisi did set or outline the current situation of Egypt. We're a country that doesn't have rain or doesn't have a lot of rain. Water is the source of life. Our source of water has been since before history. The Nile. The amount of water that we currently use or we aspire to, we're talking about a fraction. I don't remember all the numbers, but I would say I think 85 million or billion cubic meters versus 1600 or something to that effect that goes down. Unfortunately, there is a lot of the rainwater that to start to the Nile in Africa that gets wasted in the forests and without any control. I think President Sisi was giving, I mean, it's not a secret, and there is no hinting that we do have an issue with our brothers and sisters in Ethiopia. The dam that they built, and but also they declared that their intent to build is actually affecting the water to Egypt. That means it's affecting the survival of
the life of Egyptians.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
So there is nothing more important in terms of national security than water. That comes as number one, because you could talk about wars, about missiles, about planes, about weapons, fine. But if we don't have water, you don't have a country. It's as simple as that. What differentiates Egypt and any piece of land in the middle of the Grand Sahara or anything? It is actually the River Nile. This is the civilization that lives around the River Nile and has been there for, again, since ever, basically. So when somebody comes and starts to disturb this nature, God-given gift or blessing to Egypt, it is very normal that we react negatively. We have been in negotiation with our brothers in Ethiopia since
Entebbe before. But sir, if you permit me just to interrupt here, just to renew the Egyptian stance regarding the development of other African countries. Egypt renewed this stance that always extending a hand for achieving development in all African countries, and especially the Nile Basin countries, with Julius Nyereri's dam in Tanzania built by Egyptians, to all the time initiatives introduced by Egypt, and last but not least, it was in Malabo in the AU summit, which was attended by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, as he also addressed this gathering twice, and he mentioned that before. How do you see the reassurance of Egypt all the time regarding the extension of support of Egypt to all African nations in their development processes?
I think President Sisi consistently is trying to send a very simple message. Unfortunately, it's not always understood or well received. The message President Sisi is saying is, it is not a zero-sum game. To win or for Egypt to evolve, it does not mean that somebody else has to pay a price for that or has to lose. We both can win together. It is not a zero sum. It's not what you take away or what I take in plus has to be subtracted from you. On the other side, actually, we will win more when we cooperate. President Sisi over and over and over has been repeating this message. The good news is that many of the African leaders have really comprehended the message, acted on it, and they saw the benefits. Not all of them, though. So what we hope is that that very important message reaches everybody, reaches our brothers and sisters all across the continent, so we can evolve and move forward all together.
Sir, also, simply as we are talking about the occasions in which Egypt renewed its stances in many files, if you permit me, I'd like to tackle what we call Egyptian diplomacy, because since our top diplomat, Badr Abdel-Ati, became our top diplomat, or the foreign minister, he was very much keen to have economic diplomacy activities all over the world. And last but not least, he had a phone call today with his counterpart from Singapore to pave the way for the Singaporean president's visit to Egypt, and to make sure that it's going to have such a fruitful outcome of boosting our relations in various domains, and particularly the economic investment and trade ones, considering, of course, Singapore as the fifth largest economy.
Well, I think as time evolves, we see, and it is crystallizing much more in our current days versus what it used to be, again, 40, 50 years ago, the importance of the economies. We see the importance of the role that the economic cooperation plays in the political relationship and in diplomacy. And we see what's happening with the US, with the sanctions or the new tariffs. We see what's happening between China and the US. We see the European, I mean, it is evolving. We see how Macron is very active when it comes to the economy of France. So economy and economic development is becoming very clearly a key pillar in the in boosting diplomacy and political relationship. And this is why we're not surprised to see His Excellency Badr Abdulhadi operating and pushing in that direction, and definitely this is the right way to go.
And he had also another meeting with the Minister of Investment and Foreign Trade, Hassan Al-Khatib, underlining the importance to align foreign policy with the economic agenda. How do you see also taking this into consideration, I mean the cooperation among different ministries or different governmental bodies to achieve this goal on the ground?
Okay. Minister Hassan Khatib is, for those who do not know him, he is he's a key prominent figure in the investment world globally. And he's the choice of having him as a minister is actually a very, very good choice. And I think he will add tremendous, and he's already adding tremendous value to the Egyptian economy. A very important part of his role is to generate FDI. FDI means foreign direct investment, which means basically bringing investment into the Egyptian economy from outside of Egypt. The minute we say outside of Egypt, we walk into the domain of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So it is very normal to see these two ministers or ministries cooperating between them to make sure that there is an alignment between them, and they work in the same direction. Say, if we have an issue with a country, then maybe it is not the best time to go and approach them for cooperative investment. I mean, again, once more, this is the right way. We should not work, and ministries should not work as an independent islands. That they need to cooperate, especially when they integrate into each other's territory. So foreign investment, so you have the foreign and you have the investment, so they have to talk to each other.
To have a symphony, all the musical instruments should play all together in harmony.
Absolutely.
Well, Dr. Ahmed ELLEISSY, our international economic and strategic management consultant, thank you very much for your input, sir. And we are going to leave you with a promise to see you again in more episodes of our program. Well, by this we come to the end of our episode. Stay tuned on Nile TV International also for more. Now I'm going to leave you with the most important economic events which took place in the past 7 days. Many thanks for watching. This was Nermeen Abdurrahman.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Land Reclamation aims to increase exports of vegetables and fruits to 10 million tons by the end of this year, representing 400 varieties exported to 160 countries compared to 8.6 million tons last year, with an expected increase of 1.4 million tons. The sources indicated that Egyptian agricultural exports are expected to reach $9 billion by the end of the year, explaining that citrus fruits, oranges, grapes, strawberries and potatoes have seen the most significant increases in the coming months. Ahmed ELLEISSY, chairman of the Egyptian Stock Exchange, said that the historic peaks witnessed by the stock exchange reflect investor confidence in the plans adopted by the state to achieve comprehensive development of the economic system. Al-Sheikh explained that financial markets are a proactive indicator of the economic growth in any country, noting that the stock exchange began implementing an ambitious plan to develop the market and increase growth rates in late August or early September 2023. Similar to the Suez Canal Economic Zone, SC Zone, work has officially begun on the Golden Triangle Economic Zone in Upper Egypt. Today, businessman Ahmed ELLEISSY acquired a plot of land to establish an industrial city comprising food, chemical, and engineering factories, based on an industrial developer model, similar to the Sukhna 360 zone in the Suez Canal Economic Zone. After the Balsam 3 well was slotted for abandonment and permanent closure, a company affiliated with the Ministry of Petroleum was able to turn the tables and transform it into a productive well with a daily production rate of up to 5 million cubic feet of natural gas. Despite technical challenges, the company relied on advanced seismic analysis and gas data during drilling to identify a promising formation within the Kafr Sheikh formation. During the same month, the company successfully tested the Begonia 2 appraisal well with a daily production rate of 7 million cubic feet of gas and 200 barrels of condensate per day. As a result of ongoing government efforts to increase exports and reduce imports, the trade deficit decreased by 17.8% in May 2025 compared to May 2024. Exports increased by 4.6% to reach $4.25 billion in May 2025, compared to $4.06 billion in May 2024. This increase was attributed to a 32.8% increase in the value of exports of petroleum products, a 53.5% increase in the value of various food products, a 21.7% increase in pasta and various food preparations, and a 5.7% increase in plastics in primary forms. The Qantara West area, part of the Suez Canal Economic Zone, has attracted 32 industrial projects in the spinning and weaving sector from Chinese and Turkish investors. Contracts have been signed and construction has begun on a large portion of these factories, with investments exceeding $822 million. These factories will provide 46,000 new job opportunities, and the majority of their production is exported. The Qantara West area has gained the confidence of local and international investors due to its unique location, central to the authorities' port network and connected to integrated logistics and service hubs. This gives it a high competitive advantage and makes it a preferred destination for labor-intensive industries. Alexandria Port received the cruise ship MS Amsterdam, carrying a total of 2,888 passengers, including 2,105 tourists and 783 crew members. The General Administration of Passenger Traffic supervised the reception of the tourists and facilitated their disembarkation procedures. They began their tour program in the city, which included visits to Alexandria's most prominent archaeological and cultural landmarks. The visit was welcomed with a welcome atmosphere and the distribution of souvenirs, emphasizing the authorities' commitment to enhancing the tourism experience and promoting maritime tourism in Egyptian ports globally.